Uh-oh. We've gotten to know this song quite a bit in the last decade or so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've heard it a lot in the last 10 years.
Dun, 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 dun. Roll Tide, duh.
I don't like the fight song that much, though. It's not a great fight song.
I feel like Dixieland Delight.
I've ever told you my Roll Tide.
Nice.
Have I ever told you, Rod, my Roll Tide, duh story?
No.
So there was a time, what was the year where Quan Cosby, by the way, Quan Cosby just texted me and said, hey, I was at the concert last night. Wasn't it great? Yeah, he was at the
he was there too?
Lionel Richie concert.
Age range, a little younger there then.
Yeah, so we did a great thing. We had Captain Jim at the time, so we knew we knew a rich guy with a private plane, Rod.
Ooh.
So we decided it'd be cool
Those
to
are the
do.
best rich guys.
Those are the best rich guys. Captain Jim. I think he lives in Puerto Rico now, trying to pay less taxes or something.
Smart man. That's why he's rich.
That's why he's rich.
That's why he's rich.
So we came up with this plan. Our friend Ashley Cameron had the idea, and
I
Quan
remember
and I went,
this. I remember
and Bucky
this.
and I
And you went
went
to different games.
Well,
in
it
the
worked,
state?
the way the calendar worked out, and it was this
Yeah.
coming weekend. It was Labor Day weekend. We went to 4 games in 2 days, or at least parts of 4 games. And because we had the private plane, we got to go to on one day on a Saturday. We flew to Houston in the morning and went to the U of H Oklahoma game.
That was nice.
at NRG Stadium, and then got to see that into the third quarter, and then took the driver service over to Hobby Airport, got back on the plane, and flew to College Station.
Oh yeah,
where we watched UCLA, quarterbacked by Josh Rosen.
I remember this.
Play A&M. And it was a blazing hot day. That was brutal. But we were on the sidelines for that, and for, again, about 3 quarters. I saw Myles Garrett hit Josh Rosen so hard one time coming off the edge. It was brutal. I thought he was going to quit football. And based on his pro career, probably should have.
Hey, no, he wouldn't have got that payday, though.
Yeah, he got that payday.
He got that payday.
Yeah, but Myles Garrett decked him. I got to see it sideline view. So then we got back in the jet and flew up to Dallas, where USC was playing Alabama that night.
Man, I'm worn out just listening to you talk about
the trip ended back here in Austin the night that Texas played Notre Dame.
Man.
With the swoops package, right?
Oh,
Swoops
it's right. Yeah. 18-wheeler, baby.
And so that's how the Labor Day weekend. So 4 games in 2 days. We made a little movie about it, the documentary kind of thing. It was really cool. It was a fun experience. And Quan Cosby was with me. And we, it's nice to have a plane ride.
It does. Hey, it is. It's nice to have
I wouldn't buy one. I'd rent one. But because if it flies, floats, or rent it. But so we had a good time. But the point of the Roll Tide Duh story is that as we were leaving Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium, USC and Alabama played, and it was billed, and these are the big all-time blue blood heavyweights, and Alabama beat them so badly. Like, so badly.
Like they stole something?
Oh, it was a crushing.
Yeah.
And so we're walking out to be done for the day. It's been a long day. And we walk by these drunken, backwards Alabama fans. Nice ladies. And I looked over at them, and they gave me this glare. And I go, hey, good game. And she looked at me in her drunken buzz and said, Roll Tide. Duh.
Roll Tide. Duh.
And I was like, amen, brother. Amen, sister. That's awesome. And she was like offended. She was offended that I said good game. Hey, nice game. Because I wouldn't root for either side. And she's like, Roll Tide. Duh.
She's like, we don't need your compliments. We're Alabama, damn it.
You know who you're talking to?
Yeah.
Hey, those people last year were scared. I could see the fear in their eyes.
Here. Oh, yeah. Same people.
They were like, ugh.
That's why this game. So
that's true. That's a good point. They probably were.
And because that's the thing.
They were 3 touchdown favorites, weren't they?
Right.
Something like that.
20 points. And I can say this, that Texas, look, Alabama fans will say, and it's accurate, that we lost 2 games last year on the last play of the game on the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're a number 3 team in our countdown. But they also should have lost A&M. If A&M could have executed a red zone situation, they beat them. They couldn't. If Texas had a couple of breaks or made a couple more plays, and Ryan Watts makes a tackle, Texas may have beat them.
Oh, that safety, that bad call.
The bad call.
Yeah.
So, yes, they were 2 plays away from being undefeated, but they're also a couple plays away from being a 4-loss team, which has people questioning where Alabama is. We're going to find out. And the reason I didn't book an insider guest today, Rod, for me being number 3 is because we're going to talk about them deep dive next week.
No doubt.
When Texas comes off the Rice game, and we'll save all of our ammo for the guests next week to get the 4-1-1 on Alabama. But what is your overall thought? Is the case that they're sliding held any water, or are you concerned if you're an Alabama fan that Kirby Smart is taking control and the run is not going to be like it was. It's going to slide a little bit.
Yeah, that's inevitable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can only dominate the space for so long, and they've been dominating for almost a decade plus. And so I think a slide, a regression is expected. I actually think, from all the different data points that I've gathered and the data points that have been pointed out by yourself and other people, I think, a slide for Alabama would be 3 or 4 losses. But, I mean, to me, this Alabama squad right now, they don't have that Bryce Young presence, that Will Anderson presence. That's somebody that can make up. They can make up for ground that you may be lacking in other areas. I mean, Bryce Young, you just said it. Bryce Young basically won that game at Texas last season. If he doesn't make that play to keep the play alive and scramble out of the Ryan Watts sack, the game's over. And he did that like 3 times in that game. Remember the play where he keeps alive and throws to Jahmyr Gibbs in the back of the end zone? Remember that play?
I do.
It was like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean,
He basically won that game on 3-4 plays he made last season. Not Will Anderson. Will Anderson actually had a bad game against
he
Texas.
bailed them out. You know what that game reminded me of, having been there on that blazing hot day. But what a crowd it was, what a scene. Remember we talked about our Houston Oilers when Joe Montana told Paul Hackett to stick it, and he pretty much called the plays at the second half and beat the Oilers? It felt to me like Bryce Young said, hey, Bill O'Brien, I'll take over.
Yes.
Your game plan has sucked. Texas has us figured out. You're not doing anything to fix it. So let me just go make plays. And, of course, they started attacking them. And O'Brien would tell you we started attacking the middle of the field.
They went empty formation a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe that was O'Brien to say, look, we're going to go empty. You just go win this game, Bryce.
Basically. That's what he did.
And he did. And he did. Now, your point is they don't have that this year.
They don't have that, man. They need it, too. Because last year, he made up for a lot of missteps and mistakes and miscalculations by that team. And they got a new offense, new defense. I see the regression. I do. Now, it's Alabama.
They
so
also
you're
had
talking
a lot
about
of penalties last year. They were not a disciplined team.
Yeah, I can see it. Now, does that mean they're just a 10-win team instead of a 12-win team? Probably. But does that mean Texas can win one at Alabama in non-conference on the road? If Texas wins that game, in my opinion, it'll be because their quarterback outperforms the Bama quarterback. And the Bama quarterback right now is a question mark. Could be Jalen Milroe, could be Ty Simpson, could be Tyler Buchner. I have Texas right now losing the game 28-26.
Ooh.
Only because I think Jalen Milroe is going to end up being the starting quarterback for them. And I think both of my losses this year for Texas, I got them at 10-2, are to dual threat quarterbacks. And they don't face a lot of them. They only face really 2. They face Will Howard,
and
then they
Alabama.
face Jalen Milroe. Donovan Smith at U of H could end up being that. But when you think about it, and I was talking to Bobby actually about this and Jerry Hamilton about this last night. I remarked that Trey Lance for the Cowboys could help them immediately as an impact guy, providing the scout team looks to simulate the dual threat quarterbacks they'll play in practice. They'll play in the games in practice, like Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones and Josh Allen. That's 5 games right there. And you need a quarterback that can simulate that dual threat element in practice so you can prepare for it. The Texas Longhorns don't have that. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't get to see that. When that defense sees a dual threat quarterback in a game, it'll probably be the first true one they see, whether it be practice or a game.
But I would argue that the question is Jalen Milroe dual threat yet? Can he throw? Can he throw? Because he got to be able to beat you with his arm, and he hasn't shown that yet.
That's true.
And I do know this, and we're going to learn this more next week when we have our Alabama insiders, and maybe we'll have some more clarity on the quarterback position. We do know this, that to your point, now Tommy Rees has come in from Notre Dame, but he's going to use Nick Saban's playbook. Like this is one of those deals. They're not blowing up the playbook that they had. They're going to keep it, and Tommy Rees will run it. But it is expected to be a more run-heavy.
Yes. Because
Nick Saban hired this guy for a reason. He had a run-heavy, mindset at Notre Dame. They don't have the other thing they don't have, Rod, like they did when Steve Sarkisian was there, is the weaponry on the outside.
Receivers, baby.
I mean, those game-breaking receivers, they've got good players. I mean, that's the whole thing. They just recruit great players, but they don't have Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle on this team. And last year, gosh, without Jahmyr Gibbs was he was a transfer.
Yep.
He came in from Georgia Tech.
Yep.
And he bailed them out of some, even the Texas game bailed them out of a lot of situations. So I'm real interested to see who their best playmakers are. We also know this on the defensive side. If there's Bryce Young on the offensive side, defense, it was Will Anderson Jr. who leaves that program with 34.5 sacks, Rod, 58.5 tackles for loss.
Yeah, he was a Talk about a havoc-minded player.
He was as disruptive a player as Alabama's ever had.
Force multiplier and a leader. Nick Saban said his best leader potentially on defense that he's ever had.
Now, they still have the top-end corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's a havoc player in the back end.
Yeah, but I think he can, like a lot of corners, he can be had.
And he can only take one of your receivers, right? You can only, lock him up. Well, you got Texas weaponry.
Yeah, and I think Texas, I know it's strange to say, last year you can make the argument Texas had better wide receivers than Alabama did.
Yeah.
And you probably can make that case again. Probably you can make that case again this year. Just getting back to what Kool-Aid McKinstry sees every day in practice, it ain't the old Alabama squad when he was working against first-round wide receivers every day.
Well,
he ain't seeing that. Texas DBs actually get to see better talent than that every week, and our receivers see. I think they'll give Kool-Aid McKinstry all that he can handle. He's a good player, but like you said, they don't even have to target him. They can stay away from him. That's how many weapons Texas has.
Yeah, and obviously it'll be a well-coached team. It'll be a talented team. But as you said, are they a 13 or 14-win team, or are they a 10, 11, 12-win team?
It sounds like a 10-win team to me at Alabama. What's the last time Nick Saban just won 10 games?
Well, we'll see.
How many did he win
look
last
who it
year?
is.
11?
Our buddy Bruce from Vallejo. The great band Vallejo. He's also got a new project. He texted. He's a big Alabama fan. Roll Tide.
Roll damn
Duh. He said instead of having a few standouts, I think Alabama has more of a team thing going on this year. Everybody works together instead of relying on one or two hot shots.
Okay.
Their defense should be elite. I've never seen Darling Nicky smile more. He's got something up his sleeve. Nick Saban, Darling Nicky, he called him.
That's true. He has been in a jovial mood lately at press conferences, and people can't figure out why because his quarterback situation isn't settled. So he should be anxious, but he's not. Some people believe that Alabama's about to go old school Alabama, hard-nosed defense as their identity, run game to control the game, and then quarterback manages the game. Don't screw it up.
Let's also remember Nick Saban. I mean, it's for the number 3 team in the country. It's for more than just the Texas game, but we're going to dive into it big time next week. But, Nick Saban knows a lot about Steve Sarkisian. And he knows a lot of tendencies. So does Sark knows a lot about Nick Saban. That's much like last year. It made it a 1-point game, and it was a nail-biter, and it was one of the best games of the year in college football. That was marred by some bad penalty calls, or non-penalty calls. But either way, Texas and Alabama, but Alabama number 3. Next week, you can anticipate we'll talk to all of our Bama insiders and get the 411. Because, at Ohio State yesterday, Ryan Day announced who the starting quarterback would be, but made it clear that both guys would play. Nick Saban hadn't announced that yet. He has not said a word, and it's probably going to go to the first snap against Middle Tennessee State this weekend. And and as you said, they're going to play all 3 quarterbacks this weekend.
I would be shocked and flabbergasted if Nick Saban didn't play all 3 quarterbacks. And I'm not talking about play them all, as the game goes on. I'm talking about initially, first quarter, see all 3 quarterbacks in the first quarter at one point. Just to try to keep Texas from being able to single in and zero in on any one quarterback to game plan on. Now you got to waste all your practice time devoted to multiple quarterback preparation, and you're only going to see really one of those guys. Nick Saban knows who it is, but nobody else does.
Yeah, and that's some of the cloak and dagger stuff leading into that game in 2 weeks. Number 3 in our countdown, Alabama. Obviously, a lot more on them and where they stand next week as Texas gears up to play.